everyone, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am here to start a spur of the moment reading vlog. So I am very tired because I finished binging the entire second season of Bridgerton on Netflix. And so I am just in the mood to read all of the historical romances at the moment, not only because of the Netflix series, but I reread a couple of historical romances recently as well. The first one being The Viscount Who Loved Me, book 2 in the Bridgerton series, which is the book that season 2 is based off of. And I loved this book even more upon reread. I gave it 5 stars. I mean, Kate and Anthony have always been a favorite couple for me, but like, for some reason, I guess like my mindset, I don't know, but I just adored this book so much upon reread. And then I also recently reread The Rogue of Fifth Avenue, which is book 1 in Joanna Shupe's Uptown Girl series. And this is another book that the first time I read it, I gave it 4 stars, but this time around I gave it 5 stars and I was absolutely obsessed. So I think mainly because of like these awesome rereads, and then in anticipation of season 2 of Bridgerton coming out, I have just been wanting to read all of these historical romances. And so now that I feel like I'm in this like TV hangover because I binged the last 4 episodes of the season last night. I literally stayed up till like, I think 4:30 a.m. last night watching the rest of the season, you know, because these are long episodes. They're like an hour or so each. And oh my God, like I was just feeling all of the things. So I just want to read all the historical romances to feel things basically. And I feel like I picked the perfect one to start off this vlog, which is Seduce Me at Sunrise by Lisa Kleypas. So this is book 2 in her Hathaway series. I picked up book 1, Mine Till Midnight, kind of on a whim. This is a book that has been on my radar for a while, and I did actually list this in my like 25 books I want to read in 2022 video. I'll link that up in the cards above if you are interested in seeing what books are on that list. But I decided to pick up Mine Till Midnight specifically because I've been seeing a lot of my bookish friends put out Bridgerton related content, and I actually recently put out a video where I specifically recommended historical romances that remind me of Kate and Anthony from The Viscount Who Loved Me, right? But I've been seeing a lot of people just giving like general book and series recommendations if you want a Bridgerton-like feel to your historical romances. And so I've just been seeing a lot of people recommending this specific series, The Hathaways, because this is a series that centers around the 5 Hathaway siblings. Essentially their parents passed away kind of recently, and so they are on their own. It's 4 sisters and a brother. The brother actually inherited a viscountcy because there were like 3 or 4 people in line for the title in front of him, but they all died pretty quickly after getting the title, and now he is a viscount. But they don't have a lot of money. They're definitely struggling. And so this one is about Amelia, the eldest of the Hathaways, and Cam Rohan, the hero, who is Romani. By the way, I'm just gonna quickly mention that I loved this book just as much as everybody else does. Like, it's truly a fantastic Lisa Kleypas historical romance. I mean, Cam, I had already fallen in love with him when we saw him in the Wallflower series. He's definitely been featured in other books by Lisa Kleypas. And that's one of the things I love about Lisa Kleypas's historical romances, is that they are all interconnected. You'll see characters from other books make cameos and appearances in this book. Like, specifically Lillian and Marcus from It Happened One Autumn. They live like right next door to the Hathaways. So yeah, Cam is incredible, and I loved Amelia as well, and I just adored how this book set up the Hathaway siblings and their relationships with one another. And so specifically what this book does that is amazing is that it sets up the romance that is in this book, which is book 2. So it's the next book in the series. So in this book we have Wynn, who is another one of the Hathaway siblings. Essentially, she had scarlet fever some years back and she never fully recovered from it. I think her lungs and her heart have been weakened by it. And then Kev, our hero, is also Romani, and there seems to be a very interesting connection between him and Cam, because they both have like the same tattoo, which is very interesting. So Kev has actually been living with the Hathaways for the past 12 years. He was severely injured and left for dead by these men that were hunting down Romani people and their camps. And so the Hathaways rescued him and he's stayed with them ever since. And so in Mine Till Midnight, you do get the setup of their relationship. So for that alone, I would recommend, like highly, highly recommend that you read this book first before jumping into this one. Though this book sets up the romance as well, just in kind of a different way. I'm like 14% of the way through this. I'm really not that far into it just because, like I've already said, I've been so tired today. I slept in late and then I even took a nap before I had to go to rehearsal tonight. If you're curious, I'm in a production of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella at the moment, and I'm playing Madame, aka the meanie stepmother. So rehearsals have been great, but they're also very long. Even though I'm only like 14% of the way through, oh my god, this really was the perfect book for me to pick in terms of like making me feel things, because I can tell you, and I was feeling this in book 1 as well between Win and Kev, but like, oh, their romance is just so heart-wrenching and just like gutting, and in the best way possible. You can already feel that these two people, you know, they kind of grew up together in a sense, although I think when Kev came into their lives, they were both maybe, I want to say around like 18 years old or something. Like they were in like their later teen years. But you know, you can just feel that they have loved each other for a very long time, but Kev definitely doesn't feel like he would ever be worthy of her now, especially now that Win really is a lady of nobility, given that her brother is now a Viscount and he's Romani, and he doesn't feel like he would belong with her in that way. But like, oh, they both just, the pining, the mutual pining is just everything. It's so good. So I can't wait to just jump back into this book. We'll see how much of it I can read tonight. I have like 8 hours, I think, left of the audiobook, and I do listen to it at like 3.3 times speed while also following along with like the ebook version. After reading this, I might continue on with the Hathaway series, but I also really want to read, there's a couple books that are on my radar. When She Said I Do by Celeste Bradley. This is like a Beauty and the Beast, like retelling with a marriage of convenience. I've just heard nothing but great things about this one. I actually recently got the audiobook for this one when Audible was having a sale, and then I really want to do a reread of The Wallflower Wager by Tessa Dare. This is book 3 in the Girl Meets Duke series. This is the only book in the series that I have not reread yet. And so I just really want some self-care, and I feel like rereading this is like the perfect thing for my soul at the moment. So this has been kind of a long first update. Like I said, I'm excited to jump back into Seduce Me at Sunrise, and I will talk to you guys at some point tomorrow. Hey guys, it is Monday. Yes, it is Monday afternoon, just about 4:45 p.m. I do have rehearsal this evening, but I wanted to do a reading update because I finished Seduce Me at Sunrise by Lisa Kleypas. I gave it 5 stars. Oh my god, the mutual pining and longing in this book is just nothing short of exquisite. And I know I talked about this a bit in my previous update, but from the first few pages and from Mine Till Midnight, like I said, you know, we really get the setup of their romance in this book as well. Like, you can already feel from the beginning of their story how much Kev and Win absolutely love each other from the time when they met 12 years ago to the present day, which is the main part of the story. Oh my goodness. Talk about a historical romance that will really make you feel something, and that is what I wanted out of this week, right? I also love that we do still get a lot of snippets of Cam and Amelia, once again the hero and heroine from the previous book, because I just love them so much. I love their role that they played in this story and Kev and Win's story, and like they are just absolutely iconic. So anytime they were on the page, anytime we were in their POV, I was just like living for it. I don't really have much else to say about this book. I personally thought this had like the perfect amount of angst. We do kind of have like, I guess you could say a love triangle element, because basically at the beginning of the story, Quinn gets sent off to Paris, I believe. Leo, her brother, goes with her to go to this like holistic doctor to get some kind of permanent treatment for her weakened lungs and heart and all the things that have been affected by her bout of scarlet fever in the past. And so then she comes back to London 2 years later and she is cured, but she has brought the doctor that treated her along with her, and the doctor wants to court her and wants to marry her, and Quinn wants to be with Kev, but Kev just keeps pushing her away. And I think what I loved about this romance too is that I feel like there was the perfect amount of like Kev pushing her away because he didn't feel like he was worthy of her. I have read some romances where there's like too much of that and it gets like annoying and frustrating, but for me personally, it was just like perfect in this book. So yeah, there's kind of like this love triangle element. I really don't have much more to say about this book except that I'm so excited to read the other 3 books in the series. I adore the Hathaways with my heart and soul. Oh my god, I love them so much. Like, we get snippets of like Beatrix has these like weird pets, like one of them is a ferret that is going around taking things from people, and like that's just really fun to read about. And then we're already seeing this like hate to love, really just hate dynamic between Leo, the brother, and Miss Marks, who is Poppy and Beatrix's governess. So I cannot wait to get to their romance. I think their romance is Married by Morning, if I'm not mistaken, because I love me some hate to love romances, and I think that Lisa Kleypas writes them really well, but I don't think she writes, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think she has too many hate to love romances. The only one that's coming to mind at the moment is Then Came You. And I'm so glad that I decided to pick up this series because it is giving me Bridgerton vibes, but it is also its own original story, and I love the characters so much. I am planning on jumping into When She Said I Do by Celeste Bradley when I get home from rehearsal tonight, though I might have a little bit of time before rehearsal to read like the first few pages or first few chapters. We'll just have to see. So that is going to be it for today's update, and I will talk to you guys later. It's Wednesday, my dudes, so I have quite the reading update, but I have some really exciting book mail that I got yesterday that I'm just so excited to tell you guys about. So I got this really exciting package from Joanna Shupe, who is one of my favorite historical romance authors. I very recently interviewed her on Jess from Peace Love Books channel. We interviewed her together, and she is just like the coolest person ever, and it was so fun to ask her about like her writing process and her characters and her books and all those things. And so she offered to send me a couple of her books. Specifically, she sent me an ARC of The Bride Goes Rogue, which is her newest release. It comes out May 24th, and I have never gotten an ARC before from an author. Like, this is so freaking exciting. She also signed it. It says, "To Rachel, enjoy." Love that. And then she also sent me a copy of Magnate, which is book 1 in her Knickerbocker Club series. She sent this to me because we asked her specifically like what her favorite book of hers is, and she named 2 of her books, the first one being this one. She essentially said that this book truly has everything that she adores about Gilded Age romance, and she's just very proud of it. And I told her that I hadn't read it yet, but I was excited to, and so she offered to send this one to me as well. And she signed it, and she put, "Enjoy my OG robber baron." I am just so excited. I have read the prequel novella in this series called Tycoon, and I really enjoyed that one. So I'm excited to read the rest of this series as well. I'm just so excited. She also sent me some lovely stickers. This one says Big Duke Energy. This is from the Duke I'd Like to F anthology, and then A Legend in the Raking from the Rake I'd Like to F anthology. And I do already have both of these stickers, but like I could always use more stickers. And then she sent me some Uptown Girls stickers. This one says, "Why be good when it's more fun to be bad?" Adorable. And then this one says, "Anything is possible with a little sass and champagne." So fun. I mean, you guys can see how like smiley I am right now. Like, she is so cool. I can't thank her enough. Like, I have sent her so many messages at this point thanking her for sending these my way. Yeah, I'm just, oh my god, I'm so excited, and I'm so pumped to have like a physical ARC in my hands. I mean, I just can't wait to read both of these books. Wow. So why don't we actually get into the reading update. I have started and finished a book since last speaking with you guys. I didn't feel the need to do an update yesterday, but I started Splendid by Julia Quinn, and I finished it very, very late last night. So this is Julia Quinn's debut novel. It is also book 1 in her Splendid trilogy. This centers around Emma, who is an American heiress. She's just about 20 years old, I believe, and she's from Boston. Her father sends her to London to stay with her cousins for the season so that she can have like a proper London season and maybe find a husband, you know, we'll just have to see. And then we have Alex, who is the Duke of Ashbourne. And there's a little bit of an age gap here because he's 29 and she's 20. So the meet cute is really fun and adorable. Basically, Emma is kind of a troublemaker. I don't know. She gets into some sticky situations sometimes. At the beginning of the book, her and her cousin Arabella, or Belle, they decide to dress up as maids and they go work in the kitchen of Belle's house. Belle is Emma's cousin that she's staying with. And so the kitchen needs eggs, and so Emma offers to go into town dressed as a maid and buy eggs to bring back to the house. But on her way back, she sees this small boy in the middle of the street who is about to be run over by a carriage. And so she runs into the street and pushes the boy out of harm's way. Lo and behold, that small boy is Alex's nephew. And so they have a really interesting first meeting. And then of course it's discovered that Emma isn't actually a maid because there is a ball later that evening. And Emma of course attends this ball with her cousin Belle because she is having a proper London season. And so he realizes who she really is. And so things just go on from there. This was just a very delightful and adorable historical romance. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I think it's a very, very solid debut from Julia Quinn. I just really love how like charming her writing is. And I really enjoyed the romance between Alex and Emma because we've got a really great balance of like sweet and funny. There were quite a few times in this book where I laughed out loud, not only because of Emma, but because of some of the other side characters. They were pretty funny. But there's also a good dash of angst and steamy times thrown in. My only thing about this book is that it does go on too long. Like honestly, by like the 80% mark, I was ready for this book to be over. So yeah, there's things going on plot wise that I was just like, okay, like, I don't know. I didn't really care all that much like towards the very end of the book. But for the most part, I still really did enjoy this. That's why I gave it 4 stars. And yeah, I guess I would recommend it, especially if you were looking for a historical romance that involves an American heiress and an English duke. And what's interesting about Alex too is that he's kind of a grumpy duke with everyone except his family and Emma. So that's really fun as well. And Emma is just a very quirky and perky and strong-willed heroine. So yeah, just a fun time. So today I started Love and War by Shira Lynn, or Shira Lynn. I can't remember how her name was pronounced in the audiobook. So I do apologize if I mispronounced it. But this is actually a World War II historical romance. This is something that has been on my radar for a long time because Jen from the Book Refuge has raved and raved about this one. And I saw that recently my Libby app got the audiobook. So I am listening to the audiobook for this and reading it physically at the same time. And I highly recommend the audiobook, by the way, because it's just a really well done production. We have a dual narration, but we also have like all these different sound effects. Like you just feel really immersed in the story when you're listening to this audiobook. So this one, like I said, takes place in World War II. We have Emil, our hero, who is German. He has essentially been forced to be a surgeon for the Third Reich by his father. And then we have Victoire, who is a lounge singer. She is also Black. And a lot of things happen, and it ends up that Victoire is now Emil's maid. And so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like 32% of the way through this, I think. It's a pretty short book because the audiobook is like 6 hours. What I'm really enjoying about this book is that we're getting present day chapters in 1980 when Victoire is telling her story to her daughter Lily, and then of course we're getting the main part of the story in circa like 1940. I really hope that I do end up loving it as much as Jen does. I mean, it definitely, the setup is there. I think I just need to give this book some more time, definitely to like solidify my thoughts. And yeah, so I'm definitely gonna finish this at some point today because like I said, it's a very short audiobook. All of that being said, I'm just gonna dive back into Love and War, and I will talk to you guys at some point tomorrow. All right, happy Thursday, everyone. I do have quite the reading update for you, and this is kind of random, but earlier this morning, I actually had a root canal done, and I've had a root canal done before, and it was just fine. But I have to say, this time around, well, I went to an endodontist this time, whereas the last time I had a root canal, it was like at my normal dentist. But they gave me nitrous oxide this time, and can I just say that makes the experience so much better. Oh my God. I was just having a grand old time while they were working on my tooth, and wow, like I feel like I still feel just so relaxed from that experience, even though the nitrous oxide definitely wore off a long time ago. But yeah, that's just a little random life update. I don't even know if you care, but I finished Love and War last night and I gave it 5 stars. Oh man, I need to trust Jen's book recommendations, because I said in my last reading update that like I was a little wary of the romance because of the power imbalance, and like yeah, this was beautiful. It was epic because it's a World War II romance, and it's only like a 6-hour audiobook, but like you get a complete and full story. Like I did not feel like I was missing anything because it's a shorter book. This is very heart-wrenching and gutting at times, but like in the best way possible. Definitely get the tissues ready because I was tearing up. There was like one point like kind of towards the end, and then the very end I was just like it was so good. This book like also kept me on the edge of my seat the entire time, because there was definitely a point where I was like, I don't know if the happily ever after I want is going to happen. Like I thought maybe the heroine was going to have a happily ever after, but not the way that I envisioned it or I wanted it to happen. And so by the very end, I was just like so relieved and happy. And I can't recommend this highly enough. I feel like it brings something a bit unique to the historical romance genre, though I have not read many World War II historical romances, but this just felt very unique. And this is also this author's debut novel, which I think is awesome. I thought it was so well done. Highly recommend the audiobook, by the way. I can't recommend the audiobook highly enough because both the narrators did a fantastic job with the dual narration. I thought that the sound effects were really cool. They definitely added something to the reading experience. And yeah, I really don't have much more to say. I think it's a really great historical romance to try out, especially if you, like myself, if you've been reading like a lot of Regency romances and you want something a little bit different from the genre, then definitely check this out. So late last night, I finally started When She Said I Do by Celeste Bradley. This is book 1 in her like Worthington series, because you can definitely tell this is a series that follows different siblings within the Worthington family. There's quite a few of them, so in that way they remind me of the Bridgertons, because there's at least like 7 kids, I think, in the family, and they all have very interesting and quirky personalities. And I can tell you right now, I would highly recommend this if you love both The Duchess Deal and Romancing the Duke by Tessa Dare. This totally has that same kind of vibe going on. For one thing, it is a Beauty and the Beast retelling during the Regency era. We have Calliope, she goes by Callie. Her and her family end up getting stuck near this village during a rainstorm. Like their carriage like overturns, and so they're stuck. And so they just go into this huge mansion because it's the nearest shelter to them. And so they're just trying to seek refuge, right? And so Callie ends up kind of going exploring in the mansion. It looks like nobody's been living there. It looks like a very much like abandoned house. And so she goes into this random bedroom and she's like putting on jewelry that's like on the vanity and stuff. And this man, Ren, our hero, comes into the room. At first, he believes her to be some kind of hallucination, some kind of vision or ghost or something, because he's very drunk. That seems to be how he's been living his life, is just getting like blackout drunk every day. So he doesn't believe that she's real, and so things get steamy between the two of them kind of right away. So what ends up happening is that she accidentally breaks this string of pearls that was on the vanity table. You know, she was trying on this different jewelry, and so they strike up this deal that she must take his hand in marriage and pay him back in full. 1 night of passion for each stolen pearl, and there's at least like 200 pearls on this string. So yeah, and then the plan is that after that they'll just be married in name only, and they'll just live separate lives. And so Ren is like very heavily scarred, like extremely scarred from we don't really know what happened yet. He's kind of mentioned that he put his trust into the wrong people, essentially, and he was betrayed in a very big way. And so these men brutally attacked him, mutilated him, and left him for dead, but he did not die. And so he's left with all of these scars. Like half of his face is just wrecked and like utterly destroyed. I think a lot of his body is also scarred in a similar way. And so he just goes around wearing like a cloak and a hood all the time because he does not want to show his face to anyone. And when he and Callie are together, he makes her close her eyes so that she can't see him. And I'm just so obsessed with this already. Like, this gives me all of the vibes that I want in a historical romance. I am trash for these kinds of Beauty and the Beast retellings, scarred heroes. He's also a grumpy hero. He's a recluse. Like, I'm just absolute trash for all of that. And right now I'm on page 129. That is like maybe getting close to like 30% of the way through. Also, I'll show you this really pretty step back. Of course, it doesn't accurately show Ren the hero because this is just like a beautiful man, but Ren definitely does not look like that. And yeah, I just can't wait to jump back into this. And then of course this romance between Callie and Ren. I love that the steamy times started pretty early on in the book. And I just love this like slow burn, slow build going on, and seeing the two of them start to maybe become friends. I would say that this has a slightly darker feel than a Tessa Dare novel. Like I said, The Duchess Deal and Romancing the Duke, I feel like this does have a slightly darker tone given how he got his scars. There seem to be people that don't really want him to exist anymore. So yes, but okay, I really need to shut up, and I just need to jump back into this. So I will talk to you guys at some point tomorrow. All right, let's set the mood. What color do we want in the background? Let's go with purple. Why not? It matches the book that I'm currently reading anyway. So, hey guys, happy Friday. Actually, it's now Saturday. It's 12:45 a.m. If you guys know nothing about me, know that I am a night owl and I stay up until at least like 3 a.m. every night. But I have quite the reading update for you guys. I finished When She Said I Do by Celeste Bradley earlier this afternoon, and I gave it 5 stars. I loved this so freaking much. Oh my god, this is peak Beauty and the Beast historical romance. So freaking good. Oh my god, like I am just obsessed with Ren and Callie in this book. And from the moment they meet, the sexual tension and chemistry is just scorching the entire time. I am also a sucker for scarred heroes. So Ren definitely made me like tear up several times throughout this book because of course he feels unworthy of Callie and of love and all of those things. And oh my god, and this is just also a fantastic marriage of convenience story. Also the Worthingtons, because Callie is one of the Worthington siblings, they are like the Bridgertons on steroids. Like, they are out of control, these siblings. So yeah, if you are obsessed with Bridgerton at the moment, as most of us are because of the show, I would also highly recommend reading this one. I definitely need to read more from Celeste Bradley. I loved her writing. I don't even know what else to say about this book. Ren and Callie are a new favorite couple for me. I am just obsessed with the both of them, and oh my god, the steamy scenes in this are chef's kiss. Amazing. Wow. So I'm really happy that I read this for this vlog, and now I'm currently reading The Wallflower Wager by Tessa Dare. This is my first time rereading this book. I read this book for the first time in 2020. And oh my god, like, I feel like you can tell how happy I am right now. Like, where do I even start? I adore Tessa Dare so much, and every time I read or reread one of her books, I'm reminded of just how much I adore this woman's writing. And this series in particular, this is book 3 in her Girl Meets Duke series. This to me is peak historical romance, or like peak historical rom-com, romantic comedy, because oh my lord, I laugh so much reading her books, especially this series. Like, I am on page 95, that's just about like 27% of the way through, and I can't even tell you how many times I have had to stop the audiobook so that I could just laugh for several minutes, I feel like. This book, this series, these characters are just everything. If you don't know anything about this series, this is about Penelope and Gabriel. This is peak grumpy sunshine, grumpy hero, sunshiny heroine. Also, I would say a Slytherin Hufflepuff romance. If you're here for that vibe, you will love this. Penelope takes in a lot of animals that nobody else wants, basically, but she lives in Mayfair in London, which is definitely not the appropriate environment for these animals. So she has like a goat, an otter. She has this poor dog whose back legs are lame. So it uses this little like wheelchair contraption that her friend Nicola made. What else? There, I'm dying. There's the parrot Delilah, who definitely was raised in a brothel, because this parrot knows some very explicit phrases that one would probably only hear in a brothel. And yeah, I am just absolutely obsessed. And of course, we see characters from the past 2 books of the series. We've seen Ash and Emma. Ash, my love knows no bounds when it comes to Ash. He is like my favorite grumpy hero of all time. And anytime he's on the page, I'm just dying laughing, and I'm just in love with him. And then we also saw Alex and Chase from The Governess Game, and of course their wards, Rosamund and Daisy, who are just freaking hilarious. I could go on about this book forever, and I'm not even like halfway through my reread of it. But yeah, rereading one of my favorite books by one of my favorite authors is like the ultimate self-care, and I just love that for me. I am going to stop my reading update here. I'll probably read a bit more of The Wallflower Wager before going to bed tonight. So yes, I will give you guys an update tomorrow. All right, happy Sunday, everybody. It is time to wrap up this vlog. So last night I finished The Wallflower Wager by Tessa Dare, and of course, once again, I gave it 5 stars. I think I loved it even more upon reread. This seems to be a theme with me, that I love books way more once I read them for the 2nd or 3rd time. Oh my god, Penny and Gabe's romance is absolutely everything, and actually this time around, I even cried a few times. Now granted, I was in my feels last night, just, I don't know, my mental state was not the best. So when I got to the part of this book that turns a lot more serious, I cried a lot. But I do want to say, content warning in this book for childhood sexual assault. That's something that like nobody really talks about with this book, but And maybe some people view that as a spoiler, but I feel like you should know about that before going in because that is a possible trigger for some readers. And that does have to do with Penny and her past. And yeah, I just love that like Gabe is this self-made man. He came from nothing, and how him and Penny fall for each other. It's just absolutely everything. This book makes me laugh so much. Like Tessa Dare is one of the only historical romance authors that I can think of that she makes me laugh almost constantly throughout. Like there's just so much going on with like all the animals that Penny is taking care of. And yeah, and I also love like the role that like Ash and Chase, who are the heroes from the previous books in the series, like the role that they play in this book. You know, this book kind of turns crazy at some points, and the role that they play with Gabe is just absolutely hilarious, and I love how they become friends eventually. It's just phenomenal. What else can I say? It's Tessa Dare, one of my favorite books by one of my favorite authors. So that's gonna be it for this reading vlog. I read a lot of fantastic books this week. Ooh, what was my favorite book though that I read? I'm tempted to say Seduce Me at Sunrise by Lisa Kleypas, just because like, the pining and the longing between Win and Kev is just next level and unmatched in my opinion. I'm just absolutely obsessed with them, though I've read some other really fantastic books. You know, I have When She Said I Do. I mean, this is just an absolutely fantastic Beauty and the Beast inspired historical romance. I just overall had a really great reading week, even though I didn't read as many books as usual. I mean, this month has just been insane for me. I still read like really good quality books. So I'm definitely happy with my reading overall this week. So that's gonna be it for this vlog. Definitely leave a comment below if you want to discuss any of the books that I brought up in this video, or if you have even more historical romance recommendations. I am always looking to add to my already massive TBR. So I would love it if you would leave a like and subscribe, and I thank you so much in advance if you do, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!